kinky.
What happens when you mix ghosts, witches, modeling agencies, and a whole lot of bad decisions? You get some of the most short-lived sitcoms of 1989. These shows had big ideas, but even bigger problems. Leave a comment below with which one of these you remember, and which ones deserved a longer run. Number 10, Living Dolls.
Little girl, it's amazing the way you light up the screen. Take your best shot. Pretty baby, you got the look. Take your best shot.
If there was one thing TV networks loved in the late 80s, it was spinning off a hit and hoping success would strike twice. Unfortunately for Living Dolls, well, it didn't.
You gotta ask, why?
A very loose spin-off of Who's the Boss. The show actually started as a backdoor pilot that aired in Season 5, Episode 19.
I hate to do this to you, but if I don't, my dad'll kill me.
Let me guess. Pictures of himself.
In that episode, Samantha's street-smart best friend Charlie gets pulled into the glamorous world of teenage modeling by agency owner Trish Carlin, who was actually a friend of Angela Bauer.
All right, Briscoe, way to make friends.
Hey, Miss Della, you made it!
Of course, would I miss a chance for us to have some fun?
The concept? Follow a group of teen models, all living together under one roof in a model house, dealing with fame, fashion, and drama. Think sitcom meets after-school special, but with a lot more hairspray. The series starred Leah Remini as Charlie and featured a very early role for Holly Berry as Emily. In a surprising bit of trivia, during production, Berry actually collapsed on set and was later diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, marking a serious real-life moment behind an otherwise lighthearted show. And another fun fact, in the original backdoor pilot, Emily was played by Vivica A. Fox before the role was recast. Living Dolls hit ABC on September 26, 1989, and immediately stumbled. Critics were not impressed. Audiences didn't connect, and the reviews were brutal. In fact, People magazine gave it an F in its fall preview, before it even really got a chance to prove itself. And honestly, the biggest problem was simple. It just wasn't funny, and not really a spin-off. After only 13 episodes, Living Dolls was pulled from the runway for good, proving that not every hit show needs a spin-off, especially one that forgets to bring the laughs. Number 9, Free Spirit.
Something about your voice, every time I hear it, telling me I'm on the edge, and I shouldn't be so near it. Not a single day goes by, I don't start to wonder.
Late 80s sitcoms had a habit of throwing anything at the wall to see what stuck. And in the case of Free Spirit, that included a witch, a wish, and a whole lot of chaos. The series centers on Winnie Goodwin, a mischievous, free-spirited witch played by Corin Bohrer, who's magically summoned by a young boy named Gene.
I just wish somebody in the stupid house had time for me. Just for me.
And instead of, sending her back where she came from, Jean's recently divorced father, Thomas J. Harper, decides to hire her as the family's live-in housekeeper. Because nothing says stable home environment like employing a woman who magically appeared in his son's bedroom.
Dad. This is, her.
Winnie Goodwin.
Winnie Goodwin.
Winnie soon finds herself juggling magical mishaps while caring for 3 kids. Jean, Jesse, played by a very young Allison Hannigan, and their older brother Rob, all while desperately trying to keep her powers a secret from Dad.
Those tickets that you came up with were counterfeit.
Free Spirit actually got a pretty high-profile launch, premiering September 22nd, 1989, as part of ABC's brand new TGIF lineup. Not exactly a bad place to start, but things went downhill fast. The show was quickly shuffled to Sunday nights, airing after Life Goes On just 2 days later. And the series was demolished in the ratings by Murder, She Wrote every single week. And critics hated it. In fact, some even voted it the worst show on television at the time. And audiences, they weren't much kinder. Ratings stayed low and the magical premise just couldn't cast a spell on viewers. By January of 1990, ABC had seen enough and pulled the plug after airing its 14th episode. Turns out, even with magic on its side, Free Spirit just couldn't make ratings appear. Number 8, Open House.
The only thing that's real. Open up. Baby, close that deal.
Yeah, this is another case of a network taking a decent show and asking, but what if we spun it off anyway? Open House is a spin-off of Duet, shifting focus to Linda Phillips, played by Alison LaPlaca, as she starts a new career in real estate with Juan Verde Real Estate. Because apparently relationship comedy wasn't enough. Now we're selling houses too.
I just sold 321 Bluebell Lane. God, I love the smell of money in the morning.
The show also brought back familiar faces, with Mary Page Keller and Chris Lemmon reprising their roles as Laura Kelly and Richard Phillips, trying to keep some of that duet charm alive. And then there's Ellen DeGeneres as Margot, the sarcastic, fast-talking secretary who, depending on your taste, was either the highlight of the show or the only memorable part.
You don't scare me. I've been stabbed by a fork before.
Open House premiered on August 27, 1989 on Fox, airing after Married with Children, which, let's be honest, is a tough act to follow. Reviews came in mixed but leaned negative, especially when stacked up against Duet, which many felt had a stronger concept and better chemistry.
Oh, this is horrible.
And while the show wasn't a total disaster, it never quite justified on its own existence as a spin-off. After just 24 episodes, Open House closed up shop due to low ratings. Sometimes expanding a universe works, and sometimes you just end up with an empty house. Number 7, The People Next Door.
The people next door. Watch out for the people. The people next door. You better watch out for the people next door.
Now, here's where things get weird. And not just sitcom weird, actual weird. The People Next Door might be one of the strangest shows of 1989. And honestly, that makes a lot more sense when you realize it was created by horror legend Wes Craven. Yeah, the same guy behind A Nightmare on Elm Street thought, hey, let's do a family sitcom. The show starred Jeffrey Jones as Walter Kellogg, a cartoonist with an imagination so powerful that whatever he dreams up literally comes to life. Which sounds less like a sitcom premise and more like something that should come with a warning label.
What is it, Walter?
The part of me that's trying to expose himself. Yeah!
Oh, jeez.
Rounding out the cast, you've got Mary Gross as his wife Abigail, Christina Pickles as her sister Sissy, and Leslie Jordan as Truman, the overly intrusive mailman. The series premiered on September 18th, 1989 on CBS, airing after Major Dad. And at first, things didn't look too bad. Ratings actually started out strong. But then, reality set in. Audiences quickly lost interest. The bizarre premise failed to connect and ratings dropped fast. Really fast. So fast, in fact, that the show was canceled after just 5 episodes aired, with another 5 left sitting on the shelf. That made The People Next Door the first casualty of the 1989 fall season. Turns out when your sitcom concept sounds like a horror movie, viewers might just run the other way. Number 6, The Nutt House. On paper, this one should have been a hit. The Nutt House was created by comedy legend Mel Brooks and Alan Spencer, and centered around the chaotic staff of a once prestigious New York City hotel that had clearly seen better days.
Lobby.
And the tone? Well, pure over-the-top satire. Cast member Molly Hagan described it as Police Squad meets Faulty Towers, which honestly sounds like a dream combo, if you're into fast-paced, absurd comedy.
Hey! That is the...
Kinky.
And the cast was great too. Cloris Leachman, Harvey Korman, Brian McNamara, Gregory Itzin, and Mark Blankfield all brought their comedic chops to the madness.
A black cat? Oh, that's such a good omen. Tarkington, play with the pussy.
Oh, no, I'm not good with pussies, ma'am. I'm not comfortable.
The show premiered on September 20th, 1989 on NBC, airing after Unsolved Mysteries, which was a pretty strange transition. I mean, there's nothing like going from real-life mysteries to total chaos in a rundown hotel.
Listen, keep a lid on it. I can tell by the looks of you, you're nothing but troublemakers here to raise hell.
Unfortunately, audiences and critics didn't check in for long. The show's rapid-fire, absurd style just didn't click with viewers at the time, and it was canceled after only 6 episodes, with 5 more left unaired in the U.S. Interestingly, though, all 11 episodes did make it to air on BBC Two in the UK, where the show actually found an audience and became a modest success. And honestly, this might be one of those cases where the show was just ahead of its time. The humor was loud, ridiculous, and completely unapologetic. And if that's your thing, the Nutt House is still a pretty hilarious watch today. Number 5, Brand New Life.
She's not your ordinary working girl.
Would you like potatoes, tomatoes?
Just put it on a plate and serve it. It wasn't quite love at first sight.
Jerk.
And then one day,
He asked you to marry him?
Who said anything about marriage?
a mother of 3 is becoming...
The mother of 6.
Can you believe it?
If this premise sounds familiar, that's because you've probably seen it done better. Brand New Life was created by future The X-Files mastermind Chris Carter and co-created by John Strauss, best known for There's Something About Mary and the Santa Claus movies. So right away, you'd expect something a little more unique. Instead, what we got was basically a late 80s version of the Brady Bunch, just with less charm. The show starred Barbara Eden and Don Murray as the newly married couple trying to blend their families, each bringing 3 teenagers into the mix. You've got culture clashes, personality conflicts, and all the usual blended family growing pains. Just nothing particularly fresh.
Hi.
This is Barbara.
Hello, Barlow.
He's gonna be my brother.
The supporting cast is actually pretty interesting in hindsight, featuring early roles from Shawnee Smith, Jenny Garth, David Tom, and Allison Sweeney, all before they became much bigger stars. The show began as a 2-hour TV movie on NBC as part of its Night at the Movies lineup, and ratings were actually strong enough to justify turning it into a weekly series, which then landed on Sunday nights under the magical world of Disney. But that early success just didn't last. After a handful of additional episodes, ratings dropped off, and the show was canceled before it could even really find an audience. And here's the biggest issue. Despite being labeled a comedy drama, it leaned heavily on the drama and, well, forgot to bring the comedy. The result? A show that felt bland, outdated, and a little too familiar for its own good.
No way.
Sometimes a Brand New Life just ends up feeling like the same old story. Number 4, Nearly Departed.
It's making me crazy now that we've joined the deceased. There'll be no resting in peace. Nearly departed.
Now here's a sitcom that sounds like it came from 2 completely different ideas, mashed together into one very strange show. Nearly Departed was co-created by John Baskin, known for working on classics like Three's Company, Good Times, and The Jeffersons. This time around, the concept was a modern spin on the 1937 film Topper. The story centers on Grant and Claire Pritchard, a married couple who die in a horrible car accident, and then just casually return home as ghosts.
I saw those signs. Beware of falling rocks. But you always see those signs. They never really fall.
Once back, they discover a new family, the Dooleys, have moved in. You've got Mike, his wife Liz, their son Derek, and Grandpa Jack, who just so happens to be the only one who can see and hear the ghostly Pritchards.
He can see us.
That's impossible. How can you see us?
We're dead.
Big deal. I'm 75 and don't feel so good myself.
So naturally, the setup becomes the ghosts stick around, and through Grandpa Jack, they help the living family solve their everyday problems. Sounds simple, right? The show starred Eric Idle of Monty Python fame as Grant, alongside Carolyn McWilliams as Claire, bringing a bit of comedic credibility to an already unusual premise. Nearly Departed premiered April 10th, 1989 on NBC, airing after Alf. Unfortunately, audiences didn't exactly embrace the afterlife. Ratings were low throughout its run, and the show was canceled after just 4 episodes, leaving 2 unaired.
We're dead and we'll just have to live with it.
Turns out, even with ghosts, sitcoms still need something solid to hold on to, and this one just kinda drifted away. Number 3, Homeroom. Now here's a show that actually had its heart in the right place, even if the ratings didn't agree. Homeroom follows Daryl Harper, a successful advertising copywriter who walks away from a high-paying career to teach underprivileged children at a New York City public school. It's a big life change, one that his supportive wife Virginia stands behind, even if her father Phil absolutely doesn't. After all, Daryl and Virginia are living rent-free in Phil's brownstone, so he feels more than entitled to voice his very loud disapproval at every opportunity.
You got a problem with the plumbing? Just don't give the landlord his rent.
Dad?
Oh, I forgot I'm the landlord and you don't pay me any rent.
The series starred Daryl Savad, Penny Johnson-Gerald, and the always reliable Bill Cobbs, bringing a mix of humor and grounded real-life struggles to the story.
Are you gonna punish us?
I'm afraid so. You still did something wrong.
But you said you were wrong too. It doesn't sound fair.
Hey, I'm a teacher. Sue me.
Homeroom premiered September 16th, 1989 on ABC, airing after Mr. Belvedere. But the network quickly lost confidence, moving it to Sunday nights the very next week. And that's where things really fell apart. The show was thrown into a brutal time slot, going up against heavy hitters like Murder, She Wrote and My Two Dads. Basically a recipe for disaster. Ratings dropped week after week, and despite airing only 10 of its 13 produced episodes, the show was canceled.
Are you sure?
In a last-ditch effort to save it, the cast and producers even encouraged fans to start a letter-writing campaign. But it wasn't enough. Which is a shame because for the viewers who did stick with it, Homeroom is remembered as a genuinely funny and heartfelt show that maybe just never got a fair shot. Sometimes it's not about being bad, it's just about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Number 2, FM. Sometimes a show has all the right pieces and still can't tune in an audience. FM was created by Alan Burns, co-creator of The Munsters and The Mary Tyler Moore Show, alongside Emmy winner Dan Wilcox. So yeah, expectations were pretty high. The series centered on Ted Costas, a public radio program director in Washington, D.C., juggling work, relationships, and a whole lot of personal baggage. He's divorced, still hung up on his ex-wife Leanne, who just happens to return to the station, and completely oblivious to the fact that his new intern, Gretchen, has been carrying a crush on him since childhood. So you've got workplace comedy, romantic tension, and a dash of awkward midlife crisis, all rolled into one.
Everyone says first times are notoriously...
Ted, you called me Leanne.
The cast was no joke either, featuring Robert Hayes, Patricia Richardson, Lynn Thigpen, James Avery, and John Kassir. FM premiered August 17th, 1989 on NBC, airing after Cheers, which gave it a strong start with solid ratings. But then NBC did what networks do best in situations like this. They moved it.
I don't know about this.
The show was shifted to Wednesdays after Night Court, and almost immediately the ratings dropped. After just 5 episodes, the show vanished from the schedule entirely. Months later, it quietly returned on March 28th as a mid-season replacement, basically to burn off the remaining 8 episodes. And while the time slot shuffle definitely didn't help, the bigger issue was simple. For a sitcom, FM just wasn't all that funny.
Well, all right, Dad.
In the end, this was one station that audiences didn't bother to stay tuned to. Number 1, Live In. And taking the top spot, a sitcom that somehow managed to feel outdated the moment it aired. Live In centers on a suburban New Jersey family who hire a young, attractive Australian woman as a live-in nanny to care for their newborn daughter. Of course, this being a late 80s sitcom, the setup quickly leans into familiar territory, especially with the family's teenage sons. You've got Danny, the high school sophomore, whose main goal in life is to date the nanny, and Peter, the younger, more grounded brother who actually treats her like a human being. Not exactly groundbreaking stuff here. The cast was mostly made up of unknowns, with Jenny O'Hara as the most recognizable name, alongside David Muskow, fresh off Big, and Chris Young from Max Headroom. The show premiered March 20th, 1989 on CBS, going head-to-head with heavy hitters like MacGyver and Alf, which is already a tough battle. Surprisingly, the first couple of episodes pulled in decent ratings, convincing CBS to expand its order from 7 episodes to 9. But that early momentum didn't last. Ratings quickly dropped, and the reviews, brutal. People magazine's Jeff Jarvis gave the show an F, saying CBS must have been desperate to fill a half hour, and went even further, calling it the most infantile show on Mondays, or perhaps ever on the air. After just 9 episodes, Live In was canceled, earning its place as one of the most forgettable sitcoms of 1989. Because sometimes, even when you live in, audiences just check out. As always, thanks for watching. And if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more videos just like this.